Houston, thanks very much for joining me. Larger organisations might be a little bit more risk averse, but I mean, Alcatel-Lucent's got Bell Labs, which has 25,000 patents, 6 Nobel Prizes. I mean, in terms of innovation, I would have said you're right at the cutting edge, but why would you say they're more risk averse? Why is that?
Well, it's a lot of fun to be in a large organization like Alcatel-Lucent, where innovation is part of the DNA, it's part of our heritage, but it's also part of our present. By the way, it's 7 Nobel Prizes, not 6.
Is it now? Oh, my research.
7 Nobel Prizes, an Oscar, a Grammy, an Emmy, and more world records than we can count. So it's a great heritage, and as a result, there is a wonderful balancing that goes on for us culturally. On the one hand, you do have the inertia of large organizations that comes not from any, nefarious source, but from the fact that you have a large installed base of products and solutions and technologies. You have a large installed base of relationships, people who count on you for the things you've delivered in the past and the things you deliver today. And innovation is, by its very nature, if it's any good, it's disruptive. So if you're going to bring disruptive things to market, when you've already got pretty heavy investments and relationships in things that are the status quo, then there's a balancing act there. How much do you maintain your attachment to the status quo versus how much you want to disrupt the status quo with really breakthrough innovation? I think something that we've done recently that's perhaps relevant to Cambridge Wireless is we've introduced a set of technologies that we call light radio. And those technologies have the potential to fundamentally change the architecture and the business model, cost structures of mobile operators. Well, we have a lot of mobile operators who are our customers today, so that is a balancing act. To what degree are we supporting what they're doing now versus the degree to which we're disrupting the market? And the answer is you have to do both, or you don't have a present-day business, but you're also not helping the industry evolve.
Sure. Well, one of the big parts of your business is managed services, isn't it? So taking a legacy network, either managing that legacy network as best as you can, but also putting them towards LTE and beyond. So whether it's 2G to 3G and 3G to 4G. I mean, one of the things I quite liked when I was watching one of your videos were you saying you're aggregating know-how, because you are across the globe, you're helping networks become faster, more efficient, and make money for their consumers. I mean, what are the changes that you're seeing in that business model itself?
The thing about talking about managed services and network transformation, current mode to future mode and so on, it actually all sounds quite dull. But sitting underneath that, number one, is an extraordinarily serious business that our customers' future business and future financial health relies on. But also, it's some of the most exciting stuff that's going on in the networking part of the value chain is that we're seeing a complete turnover of the network architectures. And the reason we're seeing that complete turnover is that we couldn't have modeled 10 years ago the way end users were going to place demands on the network as they are today. YouTube didn't exist. Mobile broadband was notional, but nobody knew what an iPhone looked like. And so those dramatic demands are not slowing down in their acceleration. So that transformation of the networks is required, but also bringing the users along with you is required. And both aspects of that, bringing the networks forward, transforming the networks, but also bringing the users along with us as an industry, both of those are things that we do as part of our managed services business.
At the Future of Cambridge Wireless conference last year, you said, it was a huge slide, and it said, more money-making new stuff faster. And you showed this slide 3 or 4 or 5 times, and I was sitting in the audience, and I was thinking, God, this guy's onto something, on something or onto something. But what did you mean by that?
Okay. First of all, I had a fairly obvious goal, which was if you're standing up in front of a group of very smart, very innovative people, as Cambridge Wireless's membership is, and you're standing up with a brand like Alcatel-Lucent on your chest, they expect you to talk about bits of kit, bits of technology. A lot of Cambridge Wireless folks are technologists themselves. Anyhow, I don't think that the biggest challenge facing our industry is the next technical breakthrough, the next bit of kit. Lots of great things to happen there, but I don't think it's the biggest challenge we have. I think the biggest challenge we have is one of business model and how people who own and operate networks are going to continue to make healthy returns on those investments over time. So the reason why I got up and talked about more money making new stuff faster is I wanted to get the conversation a little bit away from what's the next evolution of the network toward what's the next evolution of our business. The next evolution of our business has to be deploying more innovative services at a much faster pace than network owners have done in the past.
But what I find interesting is there's this huge hoo-ha over apps. Apps are sexy, apps are exciting, apps are innovative. But I mean, the industry's been developing content for years through SMS. So why this big hoo-ha? Is it the fact they have to invest a lot more money? Does the industry have to invest a lot more money? Because it's a relatively low investment for telcos, for example. But I think the money comes back quite quickly to a certain extent compared with their other investments.
Right. The rise of the app, and in particular as evidenced in the Apple App Store or the Android App Store and others, I think is a great disruptive example of something that we were talking about a few minutes ago. And that is the agility of the service provider networks and the service provider business models to come up with new services and applications and products to sell. In the past, it usually took a service provider between 12 and 24 months to launch a new service into the marketplace. Now that sounds like forever to us now, but even 5 years ago in the telecom service provider industry, that was just seen as what it took. Build the business case, get the development to happen, integrate into the network, into the OSS BSS systems, pilot test, and eventually launch. Now, of course, if you're an Android developer or an Apple developer, you can get your application into the store pretty much overnight. Alcatel-Lucent's signature line is at the speed of ideas. And the reason is we're saying to both ourselves and our customers, but also end users, that service provider model needs to move as quickly as the consumer device, consumer application market does. Or we will end up in a disadvantaged situation versus the device manufacturers and the application development community.
I mean, what would you say are the qualities that you look for in potential leaders?
What I'm always looking for is somebody who, you look in their eyes, the lights are on, the energy's there, the enthusiasm is there, and they are not shy about their professional passions. People who don't have professional passions can do a very, very good job. But are they ever going to reinvent the job? Are they ever going to show you a new way to do it that you and your peers haven't seen before? What you really want is somebody who's going to innovate to take you and the team and hopefully the company forward. And the only folks I've ever seen with that kind of innovation are people who, whether loudly or quietly, have some sort of passion and drive that comes from within. Certainly looking for that. And I have to, as a big advocate for language, I have to say one other thing, and that is I'm always looking for people who can express themselves extremely precisely and clearly and articulately.
I mean, Jack Welch talks about it as A players, or he talks about the top 10%, middle sort of 80, and bottom 20, or whatever it is. I mean, do you categorize your team into the people who you think can grow and achieve more and go and run companies and go and run different things? Do you view people like that in your team, or do you try and you can't be treating them all the same?
In what Jack Welch says, there's clearly some truth. There are some folks that you find that are just obviously going to be extraordinary, almost whatever they turn their hand to, and there are some other folks that you wonder where they're going in their career. But it's also obviously true that everybody has the capacity to grow and to develop. So neither of those models gives you a completely fulfilling answer on how you want to view people in a team. I personally have the experience of there are rooms I walk into where I'm pretty sure I'm in the bottom 20%. Right? There are rooms I walk, depending on the topic, there are rooms I walk into where I'm pretty sure I'm dead in the middle. And there are some rooms I walk into where, whether it's conceited or arrogant, I'm pretty sure I'm in the top 10 or 20. And that's very contextual. To look at any member of a team or any person in an organization and not see that same subtlety is to do them and their potential development a disservice. The question is, What are they going to be great at? And have they had the opportunity and the encouragement to be great at that yet?
What would you like written on your tombstone?
It mattered.
It's not a bad way to end. Yusuf, thank you very much.